trust one source, Past the Wire TV.
There are all kinds of ways to prepare to go into battle. I prefer this.
Sure, bad coffee.
You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Ciao a tutti. We are back with another Thorograph show on Past the Wire TV. This week, we are doing the Tropical Park Derby, Saturday from Gulfstream Park, full field, hopefully on the grass. I think it's going to be on the grass. We certainly hope it's going to be on the grass, because if they move it to synthetic, this is going to be a pretty much wasted 20 minutes. But let's hope that that doesn't happen. Looks good. Let's hope that holds up. Florida, doesn't really matter how it looks. Could look great 10 minutes before the race. You could wind up in a deluge. So who knows? But we're going to hope for the best. We are going to rev this thing up and see if we can find out who's fast, who's slow, who's going forward, who's regressing, who's bouncing, who's coming to a peak in the Tropical Park Derby. A race, mind you, that the great, sadly ill-fated Barbaro won. Nice race. I wouldn't call it a derby prep type of race because it's on the grass, but you never know what comes out of it. People try interesting moves nowadays. It does give some bottom to the horses going around the ground on the grass at this stage. And it's got a big field with horses that have run a lot of time. So there should be some interesting patterns to decipher. Remember, you can get Thorograph for free on pastthewire.com or on thorograph.com. Find the Thorograph ad on Past the Wire. It'll take you to the Past the Wire Race of the Week on Thorograph. Just follow the prompts and you wind up with the sheets for free. Why wouldn't you do it? Makes no sense. And you could do it, every week for our Race of the Week. Just doesn't make sense not to do it. So that said, before we get into the race, I'll say this. This is an interesting and tough time of year in horse racing, and I'll tell you why. We've got Gulfstream Park Championship meet going. I get it. There's a lot of cheap races during the week that none of us like. Well, maybe some of us do, but a lot of us don't. We've got Tampa Bay Downs, their 100th anniversary season. They've got some really, really great Saturdays in store. You've got Aqueduct running. You've got soon Santa Anita running a strong meet, especially that opening day, Malibu card that so many of us look forward to. I think it's the day after Christmas. You got Oaklawn Park with a powerful, powerful powerhouse of a meet. You got the fairgrounds. You got a lot of racing going on. And there's a track to that. It kind of tempts us to stay involved in all of these tracks and pulls us away from the tracks that we want to focus on. And I'm a big believer in focusing on one, maybe two meets to have your best chance of coming out ahead at a meet. One of the reasons why I love, Keeneland in the spring. Keeneland in the spring, I ain't looking at nothing but Keeneland in the spring. Keeneland in the fall, I ain't looking at nothing but Keeneland in the fall. Saratoga, I'm looking at Saratoga in the daytime, Del Mar at nighttime. Makes it kind of easy. This time of year, it can be a challenge, but we're going to try and cover them all. And on tracking trips, we're going to try and dress them all, especially the big days, the tracks that we like. But every one of those tracks I mentioned will get their due, and we'll be looking for horses on tracking trips at all of them. And, hopefully we find what we're always looking for, that diamond out there that equates to what we want them to equate to, which we all know is money. We want to win. That's why we play. So hopefully we can do what we set out to do, and we are the sharks in the water, not the food for the sharks. So let's try and make that happen. Now, you ring, we bring. Everybody likes me doing the past performances. After the Thorograph numbers, nobody's complained about it, so we're going to keep doing it. We'll do the Thorograph numbers and patterns on the Tropical Park Derby, and then we'll do a high-level look at the past performances for the race and see what, if anything, we could, come up with, because that's what we do. So you ring, we bring, ride with us. You'll never starve, that's for sure. If you like the shows, help us help you. Hit the like button, leave a comment, tell us what you like, tell us races you want to see the Thorograph numbers on in the future, remembering that you can get those Thorographs for free. We'll do them if we can. We'll try. If you don't tell us, we don't know. But hit the like button, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It's a big help to the channel. Trying to get to 10,000. I know we're over 8,000. I don't know the exact count, but we're trying. But it ain't easy, especially in horse racing. But we'll get there eventually. So let's see what we got in the Thorograph numbers and patterns for the Tropical Park Derby, formerly, way back when, run at Calder, now run at Gulfstream, and a couple of years from now, who knows if it's going to be run at all with that decoupling bullshit that's going on, and all the rumors about Gulfstream being sold. To who, where, when, how, remains to be seen. But I'm somewhat confident that racing at Gulfstream is in jeopardy, we can say. Sure Bet coffee. I didn't use my Sure Bet tumbler today because it's in the dishwasher, but that doesn't really matter. The coffee's still good. All right. Thundering from the rail for Derek Ryan. As a 2-year-old, what do we got? 11 and a half, 12 3/4. As a 3-year-old, what do we got? We got 13 and a half, 11 and a half, 9 1/4, 8 and a half, 8, 11 1/4. I don't like the tail last time. I don't know why. He was pretty steady and going forward and looking like he was going in the right way. And then he kind of took a step backwards. I don't like it. I don't know the reason for it. I'd rather him continue going forward or at least maintain. I know these horses are 3 already. I didn't even realize that. So what am I talking about? The Derby used to be. I think this race used to be run earlier or something in the year. I'm not sure, but I know Barbaro won the Tropical Park Derby and then won the Kentucky Derby. So I don't know what I missed or what they changed, but doesn't really matter. It's an interesting race for Saturday. So that's when you got too many photo finishes that could happen to anybody. So keep that in mind when you come to decide to bash me for making a mistake. Okay, 2-year-old discreet dancer Antonio Sano from the 2-hole, 21 1/4, 24 1/4, 21, 15 1/4, 13 and a half. Getting better as a 2-year-old, but I wouldn't say getting fast yet. Got a little better at 3, but didn't hold it. 11 and a half, 7 1/4, 11 1/4, 13. That 13 came off a layoff. I don't know why he needed the layoff. I don't like it. Can he go forward? Possibly. But forward enough? No, I don't think so. Tiz Dashing. I had a quick look for Barclay Tag. And Barclay Tagg has been around a long, long time. He was the assistant trainer for Frank Whiteley when Frank Whiteley trained Ruffian. That's how long Barclay Tagg has been around, which tells you how long I've been around. Okay, Tiz Dashing, probably the best pattern we've seen thus far. At 2, 12, 13 and a quarter. At 3, 10 and a half, 9 and a half, 10 and a half. So it did get better. Continuing at Saratoga, 8 and a half, 6 and a half, 8 and a half, 6 and a half. A little bit of a Z pattern going there those last couple of starts, but definitely got faster, definitely got better. I kind of like his pattern, even though the Z is looking like it's a down race. I say it may not be, because this time there was a little bit of a layoff between those first 3 races where the Z pattern developed, and maybe he actually goes forward. I apologize. So maybe he actually goes forward off that race. Best pattern in the race so far, I like it. Church and State. This is a horse I know I've bet a couple of times, and I know he's capable of a big, big race, or at least a race good enough to win this if he gets the right trip and things go right. And we'll talk more about that when we do our high-level look at the past performances. But Church and State is a horse I've bet a couple of times, and I think he's got some talent and ability. That said, as a 2-year-old on synthetic at Woodbine, 10 3/4, 10 3/4, like the paired numbers, and they're fast enough where I could say, okay, there's ability here, which I feel there is. Comes back at Turfway at 3, 11 and a half. I wish he would have gone forward. He didn't, but then he kind of got on the right track. 10 3/4 back at Woodbine, 10 and a quarter back at Woodbine, 10 and a half. Then he runs a big race at Woodbine, 6 and a half. Ships to Aqueduct, 10, then 8 and a half. Now comes back. If he can get back to that 6 and a half, and he looks like he's trending that way. We've got 10, we've got 8 and a half. Now we've got this race here at Gulfstream. So he's trending the right way. I think he can definitely get back to the 6 and a half, and I think he can definitely go past it, maybe even to a 5, maybe even to a 4. Player with a good pattern, definitely. So we've got 2 really nice patterns in the race. And 2 players and a couple of pretenders so far, based strictly on the Thorograph numbers and patterns. We'll see if the PPs or past performances can help us narrow that down. And I apologize for talking fast, but I don't want to take up too much of anybody's time with these shows, so I try and talk fast. If you listen faster, I won't have to slow down so everybody can catch up. And we don't want to slow down the same way we don't want our horses to slow down. Nobody wants a horse that folds like a soup sandwich in the stretch. No. We try and avoid that, which is why we do all this work. Okay, Day and Age from Mark Cassie, who wins a lot of races. At 2, 16 3/4, 13 and a half, 13 and a half. Okay, not setting the world on fire. Comes back. Out west, Santa Anita. All those other races were at Santa Anita and Del Mar at 2. Now we got 14 3/4, 12, 12, 10, 11 3/4. Then he goes to Kentucky Downs and runs his best race, 5 and a half. Okay, runs a really fast race. Maybe he liked Kentucky Downs. Comes off that, Churchill Downs back to an 8 and a half, then regresses again to a 10. So he's trending the wrong way off that fast race. I don't like that. We've got to remain cognizant that he's got that fast race in him. If he decides to produce it, Cassie is a sneaky bond sometimes, and that can happen, but strictly on the numbers and patterns, I don't like the way his pattern is trending, but I will remain aware that he has a fast race in him. Layabout for Patrick Biancone. Did not run at 2, but has a really, really, really nice pattern, and he may actually have the best pattern in the race at this point. First time out at 3, and he's run all year long. We're going to go back to January. 23 and a half. I'm sorry, 23 and a quarter, 19 and a quarter, 37. Dirt races, not going to pay much attention. Hits the synthetic, goes all the way to a 10. Now he hits the turf, 9 3/4, 7 3/4, 6 1/2, 6 1/4. That's a nice forward moving pattern with that gradual forward move instead of the big jump that all of you by now know I love. If it's your first time watching this show, I love the gradual climb, the steady progression, not big jump progression, signaling a new top or a new peak race. And this horse definitely fits that mold. And you know, he's already taken his game. This race is at Gulfstream. We know that. He's already taken the game off of Gulfstream and run a 6 1/2 at Kentucky Downs. And we know what a tough track that can be. So this horse looks like a major player with a great pattern on Thorograph. Chapman's Peak. Another interesting one. Now, this one's going to get his attention because he comes from the barn of none other than Brad Cox. And we know the kind of attention that he gets. But he kind of deserves it. Another one with a good pattern. We've got 18, 15 1/4 at 2. Comes back. Ellis Park, 12 1/4. Now goes back on the turf. Ran at the turf on the turf at 2, but it goes to 8 1/2, 7 3/4, 7 3/4. So another one with that, you know, steady but not big progression. That slow but sure progression. Now, if it wasn't Brad Cox, I'd say, you know what? The others are a little bit ahead of him with the 6s and the 5s, and you know, he's got to go forward a little bit more than them to maybe get into that winner's circle. But I can't say that because it is Brad Cox, and he's deadly. So, you know, a 7 for Brad is kind of the same as a 6 for some of these other guys because his horses can just go forward like that, and there it is. So he's on the yay, not the nay list. Simulate. Bill Mott of Sovereignty fame and many others, cigar and long list. 17 1/2, 13 1/2 at 2. At 3, what do we got? 11 1/4, 9 1/2, 9 1/2, 8 1/4, 11 1/4. Little bit of a layoff after the 8, comes back, doesn't go forward. I tend to think he should have. Don't love the pattern. I would have liked to have seen him go forward in that race. So I'm going to put him on the nay list. Roar of the Beast. Roar of the Beast, we got Safi Joseph. We've got 21 1/2, 13, 13 1/2. We've got a vet scratch first time out at 3. Never like to see that, but, you know, might not be anything. Then we've got 13, 13, 7 1/4, 13 1/2, 7 1/4, 13 1/2, 8 3. I'm sorry, 6 3/4. So he's kind of got a good, bad, and a pretty steep Z pattern going, coming to the bad race. He's regressed off all the fast races in the past. I'm going to say probably going to regress off this one as well. I apologize. Phone ringing. Candy Town, Todd Pletcher. We know Todd's always dangerous at Gulfstream Park. What do we got? We got nothing at 2. At 3, we got 14 3/4, 11 1/4, 11 1/4, 11, 9, 8, 9 1/4. Progressing, not as steady as some of the others, not as good as some of the others. In a close vote for me, the yay or nay column, I'm going to put him in an A column because he seems to be a little bit behind some of the others. So I'm going to say no. Tank. Carlos David. What do we got? We've got at 2, 11 1/2, 13 1/2, 22. Don't like it. At 3, 14, 14, 11, 9, 8 1/2, 7 1/4. He was going great until that second race at Saratoga when he went back to a 17 1/2 and then a 13 3/4. Did they fix whatever was wrong? I don't know. but they're going to have to show it to me. I'm not going to just assume that they did. So he gets a nay. Now we've got a horse who's improving in possibly leaps and bounds. Super Focus. We've got nothing at 2. We've only got 3 at 3. We've got a race at Presque Isle, 12 on the synthetic, then Colonial Downs, 10.5, then Gulfstream Park, 6.5. 12, 10.5, 6.5. This horse is going forward. Now, he's not in that slow, steady progression that I love column, but he's not actually in a, going forward too fast, he's going to bounce category either. Definitely dangerous pattern. Definitely a fast, lightly raced horse that's on the improve from Michael Trombetta, who does fly a little bit under the radar and does a pretty good job, if you ask me. Last, certainly not least, James Toner. Very, very, very good, dangerous trainer. Old-time guy now, getting up there. Probably going to retire in a not too distant future, but this guy's been doing it sharp for as long as I can remember. Long, way back, 30, 40 years, easy. Used to train for John Kimmel's father, Caesar Kimmel, if memory serves correct. Had a lot of really nice horses in his career and knows what to do with a nice horse. Does he have one here? I don't know. It's a little early to say, but no starts at 2. At 3, we got 9.5, and then goes to a 10.25. So he didn't go the right way. I'm going to give him a nay based on that, but he is lightly raced and does come from a dangerous barn. So we'll transition over to the PPs in a minute. We'll just do a quick rundown of the yays and nays. Thundering was a nay. Discreet Dancer was a nay. Tis Dashing was a yay. Dangerous, good pattern. Church and State, dangerous, good pattern. Day and Age was a nay, but we were staying cognizant of that one fast race. Layabout was absolutely a yay. Very, very good pattern. Chapman's Peak. Cox, good pattern. Simulate was a nay. Roar the Beast was a nay off the Z. Candy Town was a narrow nay. Tank was a nay. Super Forces was an A. And McGravin was a nay. Super Forces was a yay. All right, there you have it on the Thorograph numbers and patterns. Let's see if the past performances muddy the water or bring a little clarity to the water. We'll find out. Could go either way. Never know. That's why we do it. Okay, Thundering on the PPs. Puts blinkers on. First time Derek Ryan. So I would say from Patrick Dixon, I would say somewhat of an upgrade in trainer. Tis Dashing, Church and State have both beat him twice. I'm not sold that there's anything in the PPs that would make us override what we saw on Thorograph. Discreet Dancer. Lost to a couple in here. Super Forces beat him. Layabout beat him. They beat him pretty good. He is second off a layoff, but doesn't look fast and or good enough. To me, Tis Dashing, he was our first J. He's coming off a win in the Hill Prince at Aqueduct. He didn't run as well at Gulfstream as he did at some other racetracks, but he ran well enough to still remain a contender. Top choice, I'm going to say probably not. He was wide last time and beat Church of State, but I don't know. I think he may have, even though he was wide, had the better trip. I'm going to have to watch that replay to remember. I remember watching it live, but I don't remember exactly what my notes said at the time. So we'll see. Those are my dogs going wild in the background, so I apologize, but you hear all kinds of dog noises in my house. Church and State, definitely a contender, definitely can win this with the right trip. Got that trip at Woodbine in the Toronto Cup, got the job done. I think this is a horse that's getting better. loses Dylan Davis, gets husbands. I don't like that. I wish Dylan was still on him, or somebody that I'm a little bit more familiar with. But it is what it is. He's a contender. Day and age. Now we could see that fast race. Is he going to do it again? I don't know. Mandela had him early. Now, and he hit that. We talked about those races in California. Mark Cassie's had him for 3 starts now. I don't know that he's gotten better for Mark Cassie. I think he's kind of the same horse that he was. He might have even been better for Richard Mandela. But Super Forces, Layabout, both beat him last time, and I think both will beat him again today on Saturday. Layabout for Patrick Bean-Cohn. This is a horse we really liked his pattern. He's 3 for 8 lifetime, 2 for 4 with a second on the grass. Took the lead last time and couldn't close the deal to Super Forces, but may have moved a little bit too soon and came out of the 11 hole going 1 mile and a 16th at Gulfstream Park, which is not easy with Ocasio, gets Junior Alvarado on Saturday. And that kind of jumps out at me. Junior's a strong finisher. This horse likes to finish. Last several starts, he's had Ocasio and Keith Asmussen on him. So I think he gets a really positive rider switch to a very strong finisher, something that this horse really hasn't had. And I think he's very, very dangerous on Saturday. And at this point, I would have to say he's my narrow top choice, Layabout. Moving right along, Chapman's Peak, the oh-so-dangerous Brad Cox. He's the one with the 7s when some of the others had 6s, but we kind of balanced that off for Brad. Godolphin horse, quality road out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare. No Lasix when he moved into a stake at Churchill Downs last time out. Still ran good to Gio Coso, and did it without Lasix. So he's dangerous. Definitely right in this, and definitely going to be ahead of some of the others. He's going to get a really good trip pace-wise. He doesn't need the lead by any stretch of the imagination. He can actually come from way out of it or stalk or even go to the lead. And it'll be interesting to see what he does, because there's not really, the one, Thundering puts blinkers on, but other than that, so far, there's not a lot of pace in here. So you would tend to think Tyler may get aggressive with him, and if that happens, he could be dangerous. But I still give a narrow vote to Layabout. Simulate. We didn't really like him on his pattern, and I don't see anything in the past performances that jumps out to tell me he's going to turn the tables or get good enough to all of a sudden beat these. Mott's always dangerous, but I don't see it here. Rory the Beast, that's the Safi Joseph horse. Okay, interestingly enough, he best thing you could say is going on the grass for the first time. He's by the Big Beast out of a first defense mare. He's bred okay for the turf. Not great in my opinion. He would need to turn it around, but he does have pace on the dirt, so maybe he helps Layabout a little bit. Candy Town, Pletch's horse, looks okay, but just not as good as the others. The same way he kind of looked on the Thorograph. Just a cut below, in my opinion. Tank, don't see it. Has run in a couple of good races here and there, puts in a good one here and there, but not lately and not consistent enough. Does like Gulfstream, 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds on the grass, but I don't see it. But he's another one, and Jaramillo rides him, who likes to go. He could have some pace here too. So as we get deeper in the race, maybe the pace scenario changes a little bit, and that helps my top pick Layabout even more. Super Forces looks like his pattern looks like a very good improving horse. He's 3 for 3. 2 for 2 on the grass, comes from way out of it, comes flying. Did beat my top choice layabout last time. He was wide and got up late. Is he going to be able to produce that again? Interestingly enough, they are both by Leoban, who was by Uncle Mo. Is he going to be good enough to do that again? We will find out. I'm going to say that Junior makes the difference and gets him in this race, but we'll find out. Toner's horse, McRaven, who we talked about, has 2 good races. I wish the Thorograph numbers were a little bit better. He's got 2 good races at Laurel, comes from way out of it. But Ruiz rides him. Ruiz is an underrated, dangerous turf rider. But he's on the All-Souls. We don't know if he's going to get in. If he does, he's more like, a superfecta type of horse for me, not necessarily a win. So I'm going to say, based on a combination of the Thorograph and past performances, which is what it's all about. I haven't watched my replays on this race yet. That could always change your mind, but I lean to Patrick Bean Cohn and layabout, and the jockey switch goes a long way for me. I think he gets a nice trip. I think he sits in the right spot, and I think that he could be very dangerous here. Very dangerous, and maybe get the job done at what should be a fair price. So with that, that is our Thorograph show for the week. You can get the sheets again for free. Why wouldn't you? Going forward, we got so much going forward. So we got our first Derby radar show this week. We've got, all these tracks opening up. So a ton of stuff going to be on Track and Trips. And let me just say this about Track and Trips so people understand. Those of you that are members, and we got a lot of long-time loyal members, kind of like a club. You know what I mean? Kind of like a little clique. It's not necessarily something that you want to go where you want a dozen picks at a dozen tracks every day. Today, my comment was, I don't like nothing. If I don't like anything and I'm not betting anything, I'm not forcing it. Forcing it, you could make a score every now and then, but generally it turns to losing. We play to win. I take the Cobra mentality, waiting to strike, waiting to make it count. We're selective. It's not expensive, and it pays for itself over time. If you're there just looking for action and picks every day and every race and every track, no. Pick one, maybe 2 horses a race. Some races we analyze a little bit deeper, but overall, it's a very select, targeted type of thing, and that's how you should approach it. And we share all kinds of ideas and angles and profitable things and things maybe to avoid as well. We've got a watch list of trouble trip horses that we keep track of, which is how this got its name years and years ago. So no better time now to be a member than unless you hate money. So with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. See you all again soon. Remember to please hit the like button if you enjoy the shows. And most important, let me know the races you want to see going forward. There's all kinds of races coming up all over the place. Let me know so at least I know what to try and get on the menu. And that's that. Ciao for now. And ciao for now. Are they talking about us? Shh. Wait. Are they talking about us? I think I heard Past the Wire. Past the Wire TV. They are talking about us. Often imitated, never duplicated. We are everywhere. Seriously? If you're betting horses and not watching these shows, you gotta be freaking crazy. Capiche?
You're watching Past the Wire TV.
And ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the winner's circle for a very special presentation. Representatives from Handicapping for Horses, along with professional handicapper Jonathan Stetton, are proud to support the work of the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and Old Friends. Accepting the check for the inaugural Handicapping for Horses event this past summer at Saratoga are representatives from the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and Old Friends. Gulfstream Park welcomes Michael Blowen, Jonathan Stetton, Kelly Scobie, Jim Rhodes here this afternoon. Since 2012, the TAA has awarded more than $17.2 million to accredited organizations. Handicapping for Horses looks to make their Saratoga Springs event larger and raise money for Thoroughbreds Aftercare year after year. Once again, thank you to Handicapping for Horses, Jonathan Stetton, and welcome to Old Friends and our friends at the TAA. The Rainbow Six and race number 5 up next.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, the biggest races at the best tracks. From the Kentucky Derby to the Breeders' Cup. The best horse racing coverage is right here on Past the Wire TV.
Dynasty in motion, reshaping the sport's greatest tradition, channeling the legends of his line and surpassing them. 4 of the last 6 Derby winners carry his genes. A Golden Son, a Horse of the Year. Another chapter written beneath those iconic spires. Derby dreams fulfilled for the titans of our industry. From authentic to sovereignty, a legacy both real and supreme. Into mischief.
Here comes journalism, here comes sovereignty, and they square off, head into the final furlong. Sovereignty wins the Derby!
You're watching Past the Wire TV. Hit that like button and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it better.